I was just contemplating, like, do women want long-term relationships with guys that they actually like? I feel like, based on personal experience, AFBB, obviously, I'm sorry if there's fucking cars here, but like, in the background, but based on personal experience, AFBB, it seems like that is to a degree true. Like, women don't want long-term relationships with guys they actually like. Because I was thinking, what might the reasons for this be? Well, one of them is because women are red-pilled in some way. You know, women are like what the 5% nation refers to as 10%ers, which is that they know the truth, but they use it to exploit people. So it's like, women know the truth, they know what they can get away with, they know what they can do to men and all that stuff, but they use the truth to exploit people and to keep the ignorant in the dark, which in the case of men and women, men are pretty much the ignorant ones, or the ones who take more pleasure in deluding themselves, because it's not like men don't know the truth, you know. Anyways, like, women know how horrible they are if they're red-pilled. So therefore, if a female really likes a guy, she doesn't want to subject himself to her horribleness. And this has been clearly the case with the last 2 relationships I've been in. Now, you know, this is not something I'm too sure of. This is something I've been kind of thinking about casually, because probably Chad would override this. You know, probably a woman who's horrible and who knows she's horrible in a relationship with Chad wouldn't care. Like, she'd be so desperate to keep him that she wouldn't care about how horrible she is, because she clearly has no intent to change. And that goes back into the theme of this batch of videos, which is hypoagency. For women, it is impossible to change. Right in the cock carousel, as I said in a previous video, is not a choice for them. It's just not a choice. That being a horrible person is not a choice. It is nothing that they have any control over in their view. It's obviously extremely narcissistic in attitude. But what are women if not the prototypical narcissist? So, therefore, who is she comfortable subjugating to a long-term relationship with her? A beta bug, obviously, because the beta bug has to compensate for his lack of value by spending a bunch of money, by being a human ATM machine for an ungrateful female. So this is a guy she's more than happy to subjugate and to subject to her horrible behavior. It's no less than he deserves, because he's a low-value man, right? Makes sense, really. But the Chad has other options. Like, he's not going to reinforce any lack of value within himself, because he doesn't lack value to begin with. So he's not going to reinforce that by, like, begging her to stay when she threatens to leave, or, like, submitting to her bullshit like a beta buck would. And this kind of tells us, like, why shit tests exist. That's like the woman's subconscious way of testing the value of a guy. Because if he pleads and begs, what is he doing? He's just confirming to her that he's a low-value man. Whereas a high-value man doesn't, like, subject to any of that shit. He just moves on with his life. You know? He holds frame and all that crap. You know? And I've been on both sides of the fence in my life. But I know better these days than to grieve over a woman. That's why, like I was saying in one of my previous videos here, that I'm actually kind of grateful to women that they that I've had the experience that I'm not like gonna put myself through that crap anymore and like submit to their, because that's really what happens when a beta male begs and pleads with her to stay, is he's fueling her ego, and ultimately that's probably what they all want after they're done, after the sex gets boring to them, is they just want like a guy who's gonna be quote unquote there for them, to give them attention, money, and all the other things that aren't sex, while she fucks, you know, like random dudes or whatever. I really hope this audio is coming through okay, because these cars are fucking ridiculous out here. Anyways, I don't know, maybe it'll add some taste to the video or whatever. So yeah, Chad knows he's the prize. So these women are often torn between knowing that Chad is no good and wanting to keep him around, you know. And back to hypoagency, like these women know, well, they don't know, but they are the common denominator. Well, some of them know. They are the common denominator in all these horrible relationships that they have with bad boys and losers and stuff. Because it's not like the average woman doesn't have other guys available to them. It's just that she's not willing to stoop to that level of a guy who has to make up for how lesser value he is compared to her with money, and by spending on money on her and stuff. That's not the guy she's ready to be with until she's like approaching 30 or 30, you know, after she's done with the carousel. Or not done. I really shouldn't use that terminology, because it's not that they're done with the carousel, it's that they've been kicked off by younger women who are more attractive. So those are the girls. You know, the carousel does not last forever, or else they'd never get off of the carousel, you know? So I had to note that. And it's like insecurity, you know? Like these women, they largely get with these loser guys because they're insecure. They are insecure themselves. Actually, I found a quiet spot. Let me sit down here. Because they're insecure about themselves. They feel like they're low value, you know? So they know that a rich man is not free. Nothing is free in life. So a rich man, he's not just going to be okay with you, like, being on your bullshit. Like, he's not just going to be okay with you bringing nothing to the table other than vagina. Because that's not worth that much to him. Actually, I don't want to sit here because I could probably get caught out by some fucking thief or some shit. Anyways, this is a pretty nice area though, but shit does happen. But anyways, yeah, the rich guy's not gonna tolerate. He's not gonna stand for that crap. And there's an article that you can read about what's it called? About something funny just happened. I'm gonna talk about it in a sec. I'm gonna finish my thought though. There's an article about like these rich Jews in New York City and the Upper East Side. Not just Jews, but largely. You know, that is a distinctly Jewish neighborhood. But anyways, they don't just expect nothing. Like these dudes, their wives are employees to them, so they're paying their wives, literally giving them allowances in many cases. But the reason that they're doing this is because they want to derive some value from the wives. They want the wife to make a home, to raise the kids. And some of these dudes, they got performance quotas. You know, they run their marriage like they run their companies. That's what marriage is for a rich person. It's like a political thing. Political bonding or whatever. Pairing off. Diplomatic marriage. They have performance quotas. Like if the kid doesn't have a 4.9 or 4.0 GPA, then your allowance goes down. So these women are being held accountable by these rich guys. Some of them have like weight quotas. Like if you get anything over this weight, your allowance goes down, or I'm gonna divorce you. That's already implied, but because it's not like these rich dudes don't like their wives get old and fat and ugly or whatever. And you know, once they've been used for procreation purposes, Like Tony Soprano, that character in The Sopranos is a great example of this. Like once their old, used-up wives have been used for recreation, reproductive purposes, then they just move on to like younger girls and cheat on their wives and stuff. Because they have that luxury. They have the luxury of being able to do that. And the wife, of course, stays because she doesn't want to jeopardize her money, you know. And of course, she uses the excuse of, oh, the children. Like, you know, like part of the reason she wanted those children is because she wanted to secure the bag from her husband, as they say. The drug dealer thug, on the other hand, gives them a primitive sensation, but he doesn't have high expectations. He's not like, oh, you gotta raise my kids, because like once they have kids with him, he's gone. He's not trying to build a legacy or like have a smart son to give his business to or whatever. Thugs ain't trying to do that shit. Bad boys ain't trying to do that. So that's part of the appeal of those kinds of guys to women, is that they have such low expectations of women. And obviously this also goes into the appeal of black men to some females, black men, and the appeal of females to beta males. Like, you know, there's always that, you know, if you're surrounded by nerds, there's always that one quote-unquote gamer girl who's not especially attractive, who is just domineering the attention of all these nerds at once, you know. And then unfortunately some other girl discovers her little attention vein, you know, mining for attention. And then she's like, I want in on this too. So then they gotta share, and then they start competing and all that crap. So, and women indoctrinate their daughters from birth to be objects to men. But of course, only like low quality men get the brunt for this kind of cultural attitude. It's like, do they want independence or do they want to depend on a man? Because, I mean, you can't have both. The more you have of one, the more you have to sacrifice of the other. They want to have it all, but they can't. And they just refuse to acknowledge this or realize this. Largely because of hypoagency. It's the man that's supposed to make them happy. It's everybody else that's supposed to give them stuff. Give. The government. The liberal attitudes that women are so much more likely to have versus men. Free shit, freebies. They always want freebies, you know. I was talking about histrionic personality disorder in one video, and like the antisocial and fucking manipulative, narcissistic aspects of that. And one of them is the whole concept of freebies. Like, you owe me this. And that's very much something that's inherent to the feminine psyche. But indecisiveness, that kind of indecisiveness is like, it's damning for them. Indecisiveness is like the worst, ironically, it's like the worst decision you could possibly make with your life. Because you're not living consciously. And again, hypoagency. That's why I have this ironic respect for lesbians and trannies, and or like FTMs, because that's a person who is subconsciously, whether they're aware of it or not, they're saying like, I want to take charge of my life. You know, that's what the butch female is essentially saying to herself. I want to be a man. The woman who wants to be more like a man. That's why a lot of dudes, especially like effeminate type dudes, they very often like have an attraction to those kinds of females. Probably for that very reason. But yeah, like I was saying, it's a waste of time to be indecisive, going back and forth all the time. And women are trained by their mothers to use sex to manipulate men from very young ages. I know it's disturbing, but it's true. Shit's fucking true. Disturbing, but true. But in the case of a little girl, I mean, hopefully, most of the time it's not about sex. It's more about like cuteness. You know, it's more about cuteness. Daddy's little girl. Like that kind of dynamic. The princess. That kind of dynamic. Let's talk about. Hopefully, I find a quiet place to sit down. I think there's one near me. But quickly, the funny thing that happened was I was walking aimlessly around the parking lot with a bunch of cars, and like this black woman walked out of beauty school, and she clearly seemed suspicious of me. She like probably thought that I was like scoping out cars to steal from. And she just casually walked to her car, took something out the car, and went back in. Maybe my imagination is just running wild, but I feel like she probably thought I was trying to steal from somebody's car or something. So she just like took the one valuable thing out of her car. Anyways, the next thing I wanted to talk about here was Ayesha Curry. If you don't know who that is, she's Steph Curry's wife. Steph Curry is like a 6'3", in all honesty, a good-looking guy, you know. Basketball, he's like one of the top, most famous basketball players, and he's very famous and extremely rich. That dude is probably going to be a billionaire at some point or another, like a black billionaire or whatever. So yeah, like that's who she's married to. And damn, where the fuck am I? Okay, but anyways, and she caught some flack. I mean, of course she got a bunch of support too, but she caught some flack in the media or whatever, because she was complaining, as all women do, but she was complaining about how she doesn't solicit the attention. She doesn't get as much attention from guys as she used to. Like, that's what she was complaining about. So yeah, it just goes to show, like, damn, how spoiled are these women, like, for real. But yeah, it's like, here she is with this, for all intents and purposes, I'm not trying to nut ride, but it's like the perfect guy for all intents and purposes, and she's got him locked down. She has him. He's hers. Millions of dollars, good looking, etc., etc. Famous, like wealth, fame, status. And she still somehow conspires. She still somehow finds a way to be a miserable cunt. Like, this is what they are, ladies and gentlemen. This is what women are. They can never be satisfied. So guys like me, we see things like this with open eyes. You know, we look at these things, and I figure, well, if his wife's not happy, then how on earth can a guy like me possibly make a woman happy? And then at some point or another, you realize, well, it's impossible, because women, again, hypoagency. Women do not take responsibility for their own happiness. You see, as much as women and people in general are prone to give advice like, oh, just love yourself, just be happy with yourself. As much as normies and women give this sort of advice, they can't take it themselves. They need constant validation, like cartoonish levels of validation. And the very guys that they say, oh, just love yourself to, don't need as much. You know, they are accustomed to it. But if they so much as dare, if a low-value man so much as dares to say, you know what, I wish I had a girlfriend. Oh, you're entitled. Oh, you need to do this. You need to do more. You need to take a shower. Take care of your parents more. Blah, blah, blah. Like, all these things that they say. But anyways, this is just a classic example. I think I probably mentioned this in a previous video, but of the permanently insatiable female. It's like they're not even living. They're not conscious. They're not human, you know. As I have said in a very, very early video that I did a while back. I just remembered I said something like that before, but yeah. One last thing I want to touch on is like and I'll probably be done with this batch of videos, but women have, again, they've ruined the concept of higher learning to me. Like, it's all about like going to listen to crappy mumble rap music, being a hoe, It's all about that. Some black woman's yelling in the car. It's all about that. It's all about like riding the car carousel, drinking Dixie cups, partying. Oh, and let me study my liberal feminist degree real quick, which basically reinforces all of the aforementioned things under the guise of, oh, girl power, sexual liberation, quote unquote, like intellectualizes all of the aforementioned things. So it's like, this is how much people have their heads up their asses these days. You know, and men are to blame too, particularly Chad, because he's engaging in this kind of shit as mindlessly as the women are. Seems like the only people really there to learn are like the incels, you know? And surprise, surprise, like once you get into the workplace, the incels are the ones who end up doing everybody's work. Just a few years ago, that was probably the same guy who was doing all the work on the group project in school while everybody else partied and fucked. You know, just school's just a sex resort for these normies and chads and women. Well, not normies so much because they can't get laid. The guy normies at least. So yeah, maybe I'm over idealizing the past, but it's like, it seems to me like school used to be about fucking an elite group of learned men who want to better themselves, you know, the kind of thing I was talking about with like the male rhetoric and modernism and stuff. But it's not like that anymore, it seems. You know? And these chads, when they get into relationships with them, it's like he's never on thin ice, you know? She'll find reasons to see him as a good person. He could be a criminal, pedophile, whatever. She'll find reasons to redeeming characteristics. But like when you're a sub-7 guy, you can do no right, you know? But even Chad, she'll probably get tired of eventually, as I was just talking about with Aisha Curry and Steph Curry. Like even that's she's gonna find some way to be miserable in like the most ideal situation that many women would kill for, you know? And Aisha Curry's not even a great looking chick. Like she's kind of fat. She kind of has like a pudgy look to her. She's clearly bored with her settled down, wifed up, kept woman sort of lifestyle. She's like a 6'7" kind of female, you know. I think she looks kind of weird, like kind of cabbage patchy, like fat cheeks or whatever. That can look good on a lot of girls, but it doesn't work well for her, I don't think. Anyways, if you're a sub-7, you can do no right with them. They'll find reasons to hate you. They'll like find reasons to use you as an excuse for their lives being horrible, when it's like before they even met you, they were miserable. And it's like, oh, I just want, you know, a friend. I just want somebody. And then you fill that hole, and then that's not good enough. It's like women are hypergamous in every sense of the word, not just when it comes to men, but when it comes to lifestyle, when it comes to life itself. Everything is always better. And they bring almost nothing to the table to justify their permanent dissatisfaction with everything. That goes into what I was talking about with the rich men and how they demand more from their women because they have the luxury of doing that. You know, it's like nothing is free in this world. Anyways, that's it for now. I'm gonna try to cross upload a lot of these videos to my YouTube. I'm definitely prioritizing BitChute because YouTube is very Jewish. Anyways. The only reason to keep a YouTube at this point is because BitChute nerfs, you know, and I'm not trying to shit on them because I know like this it's probably really hard for them to do what they're doing. BitChute does nerf the quality of a lot of videos, especially the ones that have like high movement. As far as I can tell, I'm not an expert, but like high movement or a lot of frames or whatever. So like my real life videos that I record outside or whatever, or like I record my face, or maybe it's just high bitrate videos. Certainly a gaming video will probably look like shit. Like the 1 or 2 of the gaming videos I saw on BitChute were really bad. YouTube does not do that, you know. So a lot of my videos on BitChute, I'll probably just lean more towards the slideshow type videos. I'll try to do real life videos too, but I mean, I'm slightly discouraged by the bad quality. But then again, I'll probably be cross uploading anyway, so it won't be that much of a factor. Gaming videos, definitely, I'm probably going to keep those on YouTube, you know. But whatever, we'll see. That was just one little final note I wanted to make. I think I'm done with this batch of videos for now, though.